So I think this sounds like a very good time to start. I'm just noticing all attendees rolling in there. So welcome to our very first community webinar. My name is Andrew Smith. I am a resident on Maidstone Road. I've lived here for about 8 years. Absolutely love the area. And if there's one very positive thing has come out of this LTN over the past few weeks, is that I've gotten to know an awful lot of new neighbours. So very, very pleased to be a part of this community. So in my beginning piece, I'm going to discuss how we came together, who we are, and also as well what kind of roles that we're still looking for. So let me move on. Whoops. So we're all residents, we're all volunteers, we all have day jobs, and a lot of us have families. So we've come together because we have a series of shared beliefs that we feel that there's a number of things that are just not right about this particular LTN. And we all do want better streets, but we want better streets that are genuinely for all. Just to dispel a few kind of myths, that we've seen, raised on social media over the past few weeks, is that we are incredibly anti-pollution. We're also incredibly pro-green. But what we don't think is that this particular LTN will in fact deal with those issues. In fact, it's probably just going to be moving traffic from one street to another, causing subsequent problems and causing pollution in another area. And so we believe it to be counterproductive and potentially very dangerous. On that very point, we are very concerned about emergency service access, because in essence, what's happened is that there's kind of 3/4 of the area which is now emergency service access is completely cut off. Or what we have is that there's access only by the North Circular. So there's only one route which is actually allowing access, and we simply can't see that problems are not going to be caused by that. And in fact, we're noticing lots and lots of problems already. This is not just about an ability to be able to, ride your bike around the area. It has to be understanding kind of everybody's issues and has to be about the whole community. We're also a little dubious about the fact that this has been paid for by COVID money. For all of the kind of reasons that particular money was granted, but it's very wrong for this area. We are tied to the A406. This is, there's something very, very particular about the area that we live in here, which is very, very different to kind of how other LTNs have worked. So we are for better streets for all, not just the few. And the one thing that we'd really love to reiterate here is that we need you to get involved. We're giving up an awful lot of our time. We're very passionate about this. We're very willing to do that, but we really need help as well. So just to kind of explain a little bit about us. We've got a kind of steering group or a committee at this moment in time with the names that you're seeing there. Janet Wallace is our chair. Sadly, she couldn't make it tonight, but on tonight's call, we have Caroline, Roland, Susan, and Anna. Sorry, Sue. There. Let me get that right, and a few other people as well. So to begin with, let me introduce Roland.
Hi everybody, I'm Roland, Roland Hughes. I've lived in the area since about 2007. I used to cycle in central London every day for work, so I'm still a keen cyclist now, so I'm sort of coming at this from other angles as well. And as Andrew says, we want green solutions for our area, but it must be for everyone. And this is this is not what we're getting at the moment. What you're seeing on the screen now is footage of displaced traffic. As soon as you come out of our bubble of an LTN, which we are essentially now a cul-de-sac, you will see this is Bounds Green Road. This was taken last Friday, quite late on actually, just before 7 o'clock in the evening. I set off on my bike and I'm fairly quick, so I went down to Colney Hatch Lane. Everything's queued up to the eyeballs, and really people are suffering badly. Our low traffic neighborhood has resulted in a high traffic neighborhood for the surrounding streets, unfortunately. And I have my footage here is for our area. I want to stress that we haven't forgotten about you. People on the Palmerston Road side, Green Lanes, Grenoble Gardens, Wolves, because since Palmerston's been closed, Grenoble Gardens is really backed up and suffering badly. Wolves Lane is getting hit really hard. Obviously, Colney Hatch Lane, extra stress on the North Circular. And this whole thing about pushing everything onto main roads, unfortunately for us, our section, which goes from Great Cambridge Roundabout all the way to Colney Hatch Lane of the North Circular, was meant to have been tunnelled and widened and done in the 1980s, and it was finally killed off in 2005. We had a mini upgrade in 2011, which is when Warwick Road became the Brownlow Relief Road, and they scrapped the right turn onto the North Circular from the Bounds Green Road. You know, we're blighted because that never happened. So, you know, that's the crux of the problem. And also what it's worth pointing out is you're not just pushing traffic onto main roads. The North Circular in our area, as it was never upgraded, we've recently seen thousands of families housed feet from the North Circular because it was never widened. So they've actually been building high density housing, and there's more going up now. So this notion that it's just a motorway they're being pushed onto is false. It's actually people's lives, and it's quite socially regressive, this scheme. So you know, we really have got a lot of problems with that. What am I going to come on to next? Sorry. So yeah, I'm really stressing that this goes beyond the boundaries of our LTN. It's not just the fact that, you know, our journeys are frustrated and it takes a lot longer, but it's just creating more pollution, more congestion. And that's why it can't be a KPI, a key performance indicator of this scheme. Can I have the next slide, please, Andrew? Thank you. Okay, so you know, putting our communities in increased danger. How is this happening? I mean, we're going to be talking, Caroline will be talking in a minute about emergency services. Unfortunately, a lot of their software and obviously the actual physical access into roads has been taken away for some roads. The dangers of coming in and out for us, in and out of the North Circular. The scheme, the North Circular, when it had its upgrade in 2011, wasn't designed for this to happen. It wasn't designed for all our movements to happen in and out of the North Circular. It's a very busy road. When it's quieter, it can be a very fast road. The filters are not big enough to turn into the area. And indeed, a lot of the roads don't have any filters in or off the North Circular. So it's a very dangerous thing. And it is an accident waiting to happen. I fear with the emergency services angle, we've had a lot of blue light footage of ambulances being stuck and hitting dead end roads. If somebody has not been reached in time and a loss of life has already happened, we wouldn't actually know about it anyway. But it is only a matter of time. To be doing this in a pandemic is extremely dangerous, and it really needs to be backed off. So where are we next? So this is what I'm going to come on to next, is really what I have children in Bow School, as I'm sure a lot of you do. And we have seen Highworth Road has become quieter in the mornings and in the afternoons for pickup. But I would say I'm a strong believer in the school street closure program, which Enfield's running, and that would have an even better effect. Basically, at times of drop off and pickup, the street is closed off with slide across yellow barriers, and there's no traffic goes down there. And that would be, we'd be more than happy with that. It's a very good solution. It doesn't involve closing the road at all times. And unfortunately, because we've become a cul-de-sac, we have actually seen traffic speeds increase quite a lot, people racing through when they come down roads, probably partly in frustration of being stuck, I don't know. But so, you know, there are other ways of doing this. Okay, so that would achieve a better air quality for all. So can we move on to the next slide, please there, Andrew? Sorry. So the what we've achieved so far, I'm used to seeing a lot of people on the streets, a lot of people stop and have a chat, even now. And we've had a few demos, as you know, and I've really, you know, it's been a nice part of this has been the engagement and seeing a community come together. Unfortunately, we don't have the option of that forum now. Obviously, you know, things are becoming much tighter, and it would be irresponsible to have a protest of that nature. So we have to bring, it's great that we can communicate with you through a medium such as this now. First thing, we kicked off with our petition asking for this scheme to be paused, to be halted before it was implemented, because we want area-wide solutions, basically, for an area-wide problem. The problem with our area is, as I said, the North Circle is never upgraded in this section, so it does take in Enfield, Haringey, TfL and Barnet. We want them all in a room. We want them all working together, coming out of a scheme that spreads the load between different areas and is fair and allows movement, but is actually responsible. And then we're consulted, so people have a say in it too. This tit for tat approach, which is happening now, we're now hearing Haringey are planning a scheme in response to this one. So, you know, we don't know what we're going to end up with. We don't know what's happening with the second stage funding for Brownlow Road. So there's so many, you know, things that are unknown. So we asked for the petition to halt the works. We've gone very quiet on that because the council hadn't fed back to us. We know now that we are going to be able to question the officers and the lead councillor of the scheme, Councillor Ian Barnes, at the scrutiny committee. Ian Barnes couldn't make the September one, so it's out now, being pushed into, I believe it's the 25th of October. Residents will be able to dial in, residents of Enfield will be able to dial in to watch that on a Zoom on a Zoom program, and we so you know, do watch, keep a lookout for that, and we will be, you know, trying to push your questions forward on that. So as I said, the protest really galvanized the community, brought people together. I didn't know any of you in this committee actually before this all kicked off. So we've sort of naturally come together, and there's been so much warmth in the community. On both sides, I engage with people for and against, and it's important we remember we live next to each other and we all have to get on ultimately, and that's so important. So we've had press coverage, we've had radio coverage, we've had contact with MPs, councillors, so we are just pushing on with that, just so you know. You know, we might sound like we've gone quiet, but it's all happening in the background. Can I have the next slide, Andrew? Sorry. So our plan, as I said, our goal is really to just, this was sprung on us. We were told this is happening. It was a let's talk leaflet through our doors, and you turned it over and it said, oh, by the way, this is happening. You can't do anything about it. It'll be a live trial feedback then. And that's what really brought a lot of people together on this. This is not the way to do it. They have, Enfield Council do have a climate 2030 agenda, where they want only 20% of journeys to be made by car. I think they want 80% of public transport and cycling and walking. And, you know, that is a noble ambition. But this was all developed before the COVID pandemic came along. So I would certainly say to pause it for this, because we don't want to be putting people in more danger. The other thing is, you need to take people with you. You need to take the communities with you. And this is very much cart before the horses. This is going, we are having this pushed on us before we're having a proper cycling infrastructure. There is no electric car infrastructure in the areas going in. In our area, there was literally none at all. You have to go to the North Circular, there's one in a bay there or something, but it's very minimal. So you have to carry the community with you, and this hasn't happened. It's been very much pushed on us, and the councillors have gone to ground on it, and we just want full engagement on that, and that's what's not good enough. So we're saying, what we're calling for is for the current trial to be amended in terms of, we want the reintroduction onto the A406 from Bounds Green Road, because we want to take pressure off Warwick Road. I'm very aware of their concerns. The narrowings, I think, had done a good job, which were introduced over a year ago, with the white gate in the middle. That's now been ripped out. I believe that cost about £30,000, and that's been just pulled out. So, I mean, things have been done. There was some narrowings done further down. That should have been built on. We need more traffic calming on that street to try and cut things down. We need the school street system on Highworth Road. As I say, with the reintroduction of the right-hand turn to the A406 off Bounds Green Road, that would certainly take a lot of pressure off, and continued traffic calming on Warwick Road would help a lot as well. We've also discussed the possibility, we haven't had the engagement with the officers to find out if this is possible, but we would be very happy to talk with the Transport Department for Enfield, David Taylor, for example, about the possibility of having traffic lights by the Ranelagh pub, which is on Bounds Green Road, and Warwick Road. So at peak times only, those could be temporary lights that just let a few cars in a time, so that it reduces the flow. You know, things like that. It doesn't need to be a closing off scenario and us feeling very cut off and our lives being very turned upside down. So it's about full engagement, really. Can I have the next slide, please?
Indeed.
Okay, sorry, it's me. I'm handing over now. I believe it's to Caroline. Sorry.
Pass over to Caroline. But before we do, if I could just say that we are, of course, taking questions, and there is a chat as well. So if anything that we've discussed thus far, anybody's got any thoughts on, please just type them in, and we'll answer those at the end. So Caroline.
Good evening, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name's Caroline. I've lived in the area for 20 years now. And it's been an amazing area, fantastic community, lots going on. I was specifically overwhelmed with this community at the beginning of COVID, when people really, really came together and helped everyone that needed help. It was absolutely incredible. And then sadly, this LTN appeared on our doorsteps, and there was a real split in the community, and that really made me feel sad, because you know, after having such an amazing community, the atmosphere and everything has changed. I don't want to repeat everything that Andy and Roland have said, but we all want safer streets and cleaner streets and less pollution. But this, as has been said, doesn't work. It doesn't serve every single person. And it's causing, I've heard stories right across the area, really sad stories that people are really struggling. But moving on from that, what I'm actually involved in at the moment, I'm part of a group called One London, and it involves 6 or 7, I think it's 6 councils across London. And they are all going through the same and similar scenarios as we have. They haven't had a consultation. They've had major problems with the emergency services. They've had cycling lanes put outside their doors. I mean, I could carry on talking about the problems, but what we're doing in this group, we're basically putting our energies together. We're building up rapport with the media, newspapers, legal teams, and getting information and sharing it, which is quite invaluable. And whether you're aware or not, on the 12th of September, when we had our demo, other councils on the same day had that demo. And people that don't know, you know, we're not on our own. This is happening right across London. And I think people are upset and anxious and stressed the way it's been done. I think most people do want greener spaces, safer streets, cleaner air, less pollution. But I think it's the way it's been done, and there's been no democracy in this. That's what I'm getting from a lot of people. So that's what I'm kind of involved with this One London group. There will be, I believe, a petition coming out pretty soon that everyone in the whole of London can sign. Obviously, when that happens, of course, we'll let you know. I also just wanted to point out before the next part of the slide that it's really, I'm really pleased we're doing this, because I really want everyone to be involved. I do a lot of work around here. I do a lot of clients. There's tremendous people around here, really lovely families and people, and we want you to get involved. And like Andy said, you know, we might be a bit quiet at times, but we are doing things all the time, and we'd like you to join in. We want your feedback. If there's anything that you need to reach out. Anytime you want to reach out, I'm available. Anything that we can do, anything that ideas that you've got, any help you'd like to participate in. So, you know, we're inviting all of you as part of the community, with whatever your views are. So I just wanted to make that point, because I think it's really important. You're all very, very valued, all of you, whatever your thoughts about this LTA are. So can I ask you for the next slide, Andy, please? So we're now going to go on to the emergency services. As you can see on screen, there is some videos and footage of ambulances in the last, I believe, 2.5 weeks. So we had 4 ambulances getting lost, doing U-turns in a matter of 5 days. Now that absolutely terrifies me. We're not even in winter yet. And if somebody, please God, doesn't happen, somebody has a heart attack or something very serious, an ambulance needs to get there very, very quickly. And as we can see from these, they're having issues. They don't know where they're going. They have to do U-turns. So I've been in touch with the emergency services. In fact, most of them. I've been in touch with the fire service and the ambulance. And I'm just getting on with the police now. And one of the comments that the ambulances have told me is their biggest concern is the fact that where we are, we're living off one of the busiest roads in the UK. The North Circular is one of the most congested roads in the UK. And even in normal times, if there's an accident or a buildup of traffic, the North Circular, as you all know, is just gridlocked. So even if an ambulance comes down to come into this area, if there's traffic, the cars can't move to let the ambulance come in. The ambulance is stuck as the traffic, as the rest of the cars. And that is a huge concern for them. They have, obviously, we did change the situation with Warwick, with the gate, but there's lots of other issues. They've been stuck in York Road, they've been stuck in Maidstone Road. And this is basically about life and death. This is not political, this is not good or bad, this is purely about people's life. And this is a massive concern. So that's what I've been doing. And any questions or any help you need, I'm here. So thank you for listening.
That's great. Thank you so much, Caroline. So Anna, you're going to talk to us about street contacts.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Anna. I've lived in the area for over 40 years. I went to primary school here, secondary school. My extended family are still all in the area as well. So I do know sort of different aspects of the community, living both sides of Brownlow Road and having grown up. I'm going to be talking about a slightly lighter subject than the emergency services, thankfully. So what we've tried to do is put together some street contacts. Now, the reason for this, and at the moment we do only have 30, so if anybody would like to be a street contact for their road, or we're also open to having, say, a team of street contacts for each road as well, so everyone can work together. What became really, really evident when we were going around with the petition was the amount of people in the area who were not familiar with the scheme because they've missed the leaflet, or there were language barriers or elderly, and there wasn't just the understanding of what was actually going to be happening when the barriers were going to be installed. So the idea of the street reps is to assist with familiarising everyone with what access they have now, and helping people that aren't on the internet, and so they can also feed back their experiences and their real stories. And it's not just about journey times. That is one aspect of feeding back, but it's also about how has this affected your lives in general. Sitting in an extended car ride journey may mean that you can spend less time with kids when you get home, or having elderly not having their families visited often because of the inconvenience of coming to see them, or having clients in the area who can't actually physically get to you in time so you can actually do what you need to do with them. And then the idea of the street contacts is to assist with the logging of these stories and these wider experiences, so we can then feed them back as a group, to the council, and as individuals. And I do feel that these stories will come out. A neighbour will be more comfortable speaking to another neighbour as opposed to a stranger, or feeding something back on an online form. And so if everyone can help people express themselves, and it may be something that's good that's come out of it as well. It's not just sort of the negative impact,
Absolutely.
but it's all about helping each other. And we do, as Caroline said before, need some help and assistance in terms of gaining more sort of coverage for the street contacts. And if we move on to the next slide, this leads on to the consultation. So to assist everyone before the official consultation came out, we have put a couple of forms together. One is for general feedback, and there is a free text comment section as well, for people to write how they're feeling about things. And there's also an incident log. So if something specific happened, so I've had neighbours where they've had to cancel a client because the client wasn't able to get to them, so they've lost that business, and there's no way of getting that back, for example. Or my 86-year-old neighbour can no longer get his dial-a-ride unless he's pre-booked with other neighbours in the area, because it's those sorts of difficulties that we need to be able to log these and go back as a group and help people express and show these issues. It may be a case of Tewkesbury Terrace, for example, may find that there's less parking on the road because people don't want to drive around and sit on the A406. We've also put up on this slide, I hope everyone can read it, it is quite small, it's the KPIs for the scheme, which we do want to get a bit more information from the council in terms of how these will be measured, because a lot of these are, the stuff that we want to feed back is more qualitative. Car sharing, for example, that the council wants us to promote. Kids clubs, a lot of them are on the other side of Durnsford Road, like your Scouts and other football clubs, etc. Can kids on our side within the Bowes LTN still get other parents to drop them off or pick them up as they were before? Oh, there's a question coming through.
Right. I mean, I think the other thing there, Anna, is that obviously in terms of the KPIs that have been sent out by the council here, I mean, what the reasons for getting this funding was about is kind of nothing to do with those KPIs at all. I mean, you know, the COVID funding was all about us taking up a healthier lifestyle, walking and cycling, and you know, and also to tackle obesity. So you know, these are not covering the points of funding whatsoever. And we're also a little unsure exactly how the consultation's working, because we don't know if you're only allowed to enter this once.
Respond once, yeah.
So you know, kind of be careful with that. There's certainly no limit on what we're asking for in terms of feedback. We can take kind of all feedback.
And we will be submitting these as a group to the council as well on people's behalves. But that please don't think that should stop you from also going onto the council forms themselves. Now, in terms of the council comments, it's you can go to letstalk.enfield.gov.uk/BowesQN to submit your comments there. When filling out the forms, on the multiple choice, if you feel that the multiple choice options there are not reflective of what you want to say so in the comments section. If so, you can say the above doesn't reflect how I'm feeling, and and in that comment section, write exactly how you feel and how you feel that this is affecting you. And please, if you do have neighbours that aren't online or are elderly or young or aren't able to do this themselves, please assist them to do that also. There will be a paper one, I understand, as well, but I haven't actually seen a copy of that as yet. But we are happy to submit on people's behalves. Also, you can email healthystreets@enfield.gov.uk, and to David Taylor himself in writing, he's the head of traffic and transportation, and the address for that is the Civic Centre, Silver Street. That's EN1 3XD. And also you can email them at traffic@enfield.gov.uk. Please make sure that you quote the reference number for the Bose LTN, which is TG52/1454. The street reps will be available, and we will be passing all of this information as well through them. So it's all about everyone coming together, and whether it's a negative point or a positive point, let's try and put everything together and try and find something that resolves the current situation for the majority of the community. We won't be able to fix it for everyone, but at least for the majority, if we can find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Anna. I mean, obviously there was a lot of information you gave out there.
Sorry.
So I think we've kind of agreed that you would be posting that up on Facebook and WhatsApp, and we will of course kind of follow up with emails as well. So
and our website.
On that very subject matter, you know, we do of course have a WhatsApp group. We have a Twitter account as well, and Facebook. You know, we've been asking for everybody on this to be polite and be respectful, and you know, I think for the most part, we've been able to, you know, manage that. Obviously, you know, this is a deeply emotional and contentious issue for many, and particularly to begin with, you know, people, you know, did. You know, there were maybe kind of, you know, a few raised eyebrows about some comments, but I think what we have now is that we have, you know, like a really, really good forum, and we're very proud of, you know, the people that we're working with there. One of the initiatives as well that we're also doing is that we're trying to use video quite a lot. So not just in terms of kind of, you know, logging incidents. I mean, it's, you know, it's been sad, obviously, that we've been able to kind of, you know, capture emergency service vehicles, but at least we've got a record of it. And, you know, this stuff is being sent to, you know, to the councillors. You know, I personally have, you know, sent a number of videos to the leader of the council. Still awaiting a reply on that, but it's good that she sees this stuff. One thing that we're also encouraging, if people are willing, is to hear your stories. You know, the whole point of this being about Bounds and Bowes voices is that we are hearing people's voices. So we're trying to put together a series of short stories. We're not going to send out a camera crew or anything like that to your house. It just simply would be something that's done over Teams or Zoom. But, you know, when we were kind of sitting right at the beginning of all of this, we thought of all of the kind of, you know, likely issues that could, you know, that this could cause, and also the likely issues that this could solve. And you know, what we're wanting, what we've realized is that we couldn't kind of think of half of them. You know, some of the things that have kind of come up, and you know, and also from people who just don't necessarily even have access to the internet, you know, we're kind of you know, hearing from as well. And there's some very disgruntled, very scared people in the community, and that's what we're kind of trying to address there. In the next few days as well, we will be launching a website, and of course there will be a poster campaign as well for everybody to stick in their windows over the winter months. So I've kind of rattled through that final bit a little, Roland. I'm just warning you that there are lots of questions, so maybe a bit of brevity on this one, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. That's fine. Okay, for going forward, as I say, which is really just reiterating, we are a community it's all of your voices that matter, basically. You know, we're just trying to be a facilitator for that. Planning going forward is a tough one, and you know, looking at some of the questions there, John is just saying, you know, we should be offering solutions and have you know, some top solutions. There's something not right about this. These things are normally done with quite a strict due process, and this has been around for a couple of years, this scheme. Certainly last year was being talked about, implemented totally pre-COVID. So the COVID funding has basically, using the first bit of COVID funding, I should say, has allowed them to circumnavigate that, to actually not consult first. And I just worry that we're being kept in the dark in so many ways. And I'm not sure, you know, Councillor Barnes seems to insinuate that actually Haringey have written to us saying we are cooking up a scheme in response to the Bowes LTN, yet he seems to insinuate that, oh no, we're talking and there is some great master plan. We are citizens, we want to see this master plan. Why are we not entitled to know what is planned for us? So really only through knowing this, because where is it, you know, I see people asking questions here, asking, can we not have AMPR? This is a common one that comes up for Warwick Road, for the top end by the Ranelagh pub. Have AMPR so residents can come in and out. It's like, yes, fine, but then you have to think of the issues of carers coming, need to be registered. You've got visitors, you've got deliveries. There's all sorts of different people who need access to the area, or will make your lives easier through having access, and you're actually creating a bit of a gated estate through doing this. And then following on from that, if the Haringey LTN blocks off roads allowing you to get to Muswell Hill from here anyway, where does that leave us? Nowhere. So, you know, we really need to know the whole plan. So what I really want to stress is joined up problems require joined up solutions. And the joined up solution to this is TfL, Haringey, Enfield, Barnet, all working together, because all those roads are operated and connected through that. So we have to push for that, basically. I'll just rattle through these really quickly. You know, and again, we don't know what's happening with the stage 2 funding. Brownlow Road is a B road. It's a very important road for people living in Muswell Hill and Alexandra Palace. Though when you have a way to North Circular, would be down Colney Hatch Lane to join the busiest section of it, where it queues for about 10-15 hours a day by Tesco's. So, you know, we don't know what's happening with that. So without these answers, it's very hard for us to plan where we're at. And we just want some transparency and some communication. The council is voted in to serve us, not to do things to us, and that is really we're not getting the right message at the moment. So we just want to push for this transparent and open dialogue, and the more of you in our community that push for that, whichever angle you're coming from, you know, it's all about best decisions being made through dialogue, and that's what we want to see. And as I said about electric car infrastructure, things of this nature, these need to be looked at and worked on. And, you know, having our only entrance in and out of the area through the North Circular is dangerous and isolating, and it really isn't acceptable. That's what I want to see end. I want us to be connected to the community on all sides. So that's what I would like to see. But I think I'm ready to hand over now. Thank you.
So thank you very much there, Roland. I don't know if we are all seeing the chat. I might just kind of skim over some of that. So we've got kind of 20 minutes to cover quite a few questions. First one that came in was asking if any councillors have joined. To my knowledge, no. But this session, I think, has been recorded, and we'll put it up on YouTube and be able to send that out to people. There's obviously a few points about street reps. So there is a list, obviously, of streets that aren't currently covered, and we will make that known a little later.
We could put that on our website as well. So so people have access to that.
We most certainly can do, and there's kind of a couple of other points about, you know, how people are getting involved with, say, WhatsApp and not necessarily being on Facebook. So I think probably the best thing to do there is that you're seeing our email at the bottom of the screen there. So please just drop us a line, and we will be able to deal with that. So should we deal with the first? We have 9 open questions at the moment, and I haven't had a chance to kind of read through them all and see if there are kind of like themes. One thing that was kind of coming up in the chat, Roland, was, you know, was really about alternatives, if you like, yeah. And I think the very kind of clear thing that we're saying is that we are not town planners, we are not traffic experts, we are, you know, we've kind of, you know, employed, if you like, kind of people to do this stuff for us at the council. But certainly there are themes, if you like, that are kind of coming up. You know, you've mentioned kind of AMPR there. We've obviously also talked about traffic lights. We've talked about school streets and things like that. So what are your thoughts in terms of how, you know, we're kind of going to best represent these themes to the council? Because sorry for the long question, but we do have an open offer from the council leader in order to connect with us on that very subject matter.
Yeah, we haven't actually seen that. I've had questions into David Taylor for some time, and they still haven't been addressed. I haven't had any contact at all, unfortunately. So I'd love him to be in touch. He knows our streets very well, but of course the residents of this area know their streets better than anyone. And I think a lot of the suggestions are very valid, and some of them I hadn't even thought about myself, you know, have come to light over the past weeks. So it's great that these can be communicated, but at the moment I'm feeling a bit of a hard wall, you know, it's not, they haven't got their listening ears on this. It's very much you guys need to adapt your behavior to fit around this because it's staying. That's the message that we seem to be getting. And if I also see that if they make any amendments at all, they want to roll the trial again, so it resets. So there's it's very much it doesn't feel very constructive on that. Can I go through some of these ideas on here, because I want to get through these because I've made notes.
Roland, just on that then, Roland, so we don't talk over each other. I mean, I'm just noticing kind of a point there from John, who's talking in terms of what the kind of, you know, the best way of kind of collecting, you know, these proposals and boiling them down, and what kind of essentially we do with them. I think in the very first instance, I'd like to go like a little wider on that, which is that this is kind of our first dialogue. We've decided to do this as a webinar. It may well be decided that what we need to do from this point going forward is have kind of like regular you know, say nightly meetings, and I think from there that we're going to be able to, you know, to see what the community feels, if you like. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a spirit of offering up an alternative. We're cautious about offering up a fait accompli alternative. You know, certainly some way of kind of offering up themes is you know, it seems to be a better way of going about it, Roland. But
yeah, just to interject there, I mean, the main thing with this scheme now, the reason why I and the group are pushing for this to be suspended at the moment is because we worry it's going to push more people who are vulnerable onto public transport. We're just coming into very dark nights. We believe it's very dangerous. It's dangerous for emergency services. It's dangerous for turning onto and off the North Circular. And it's dangerous in terms of the displaced traffic that it's causing. So for these reasons, it actually needs to be lifted. They are planters. These things need to be lifted, and we just need an open dialogue and back to the drawing board. That's what I can't stress enough. My concern, John, addressing you directly on this, I completely take on board your plan B ideas and us having plan Bs. But at the moment, we don't even know. They were meant to find out about the Brownlow bus gate about a month ago, I believe. I met one of the councillors in a supermarket and said, we found out on Monday, and that was a month ago, and there's been complete silence. So we don't know that that's happening. So to actually offer alternatives when we don't know what they've got in store, it's a bit sort of cat and mouse, and we just want some transparency. I don't think that's unreasonable on this. Sorry, carry on.
Not at all. You know, there's a couple of other comments there in terms of number plate recognition and such like. And, you know, obviously this has been something that Councillor Barnes has said a big a flat no to at this moment in time. But, you know, if this is something that the community is kind of, you know, making a noise about, then, you know, of course, that should be heard. What else can I say? I mean,
well, we know it can be done. It's been done in other boroughs. It's actually been done, I think it's been done in the Meadway in our borough. So it can be done. They seem to be very resistant to changing our entrance just in and out of the North Circular. And that's all the only way they want us in and out. I don't know if they, you know, how they're basing this, but we just want an open dialogue, and we need to know, we need to answer the questions, and they are not engaging. You quite rightly point out, you cannot tell me that we have 82 participants tonight in this, and you know, this has been quite strongly advertised. You cannot tell me that our councillors, our 3 councillors, don't know this is going ahead. Councillor Barnes must know this is going ahead. Where are they? Why are you not here? We need you. We need you. We need our MPs. We need people with power, decision-making power, to be engaging with us. This is not acceptable, and we will remember it going forward. Okay.
Well said. Roland, there's a point there really, which is asking about how school roads would work.
Yeah, can I address that? The school roads is a scheme that I've seen publicised by Councillor Barnes himself quite recently. I think it's a good initiative, and it's actually, from what I've seen of it, it's literally just for the small window in the mornings when kids are brought to school and when they're picked up. There's just literally like a scissor style barricade that gets pulled across, I imagine, by the school staff, and then put away, just so it blocks the section of the street where the school goes in. So it's a very temporary thing. It's not closing streets down completely, but I would imagine that is something that if you lived on Highworth Road, you could certainly talk about and may feel it's a good idea. So, you know, it's not for us to make decisions for you, but I think it's been quite well embraced, and there's been enough trials of it in the area that it would be interesting to see what those residents have to say about it, really.
So there's another point just come up in the chat there from Anne, who's talking about what happened in Ealing. So Ealing Council recently had to admit that it had not consulted the ambulance service prior to the introduction of the scheme. Do we know if Enfield talked to the ambulance people? Right. So we know that some consultation took place with the management of the emergency services, but what we know for a startling fact is that clearly has not filtered down to individual ambulances and police cars. We don't know about kind of fire at this moment. But Caroline, what's your kind of take?
I just want to make a point. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of trying to get a lot of information about this, and we need to deal with facts. That's a key, and not hearsay. Some of the ambulance services were not contacted before the scheme started.
Right.
That is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
They are now talking to the services, but from the beginning, some of them were not, consulted.
Caroline, just to interject there's also a bit of a use of language going on as well. Some of these things I've seen that parties were informed rather than consulted. So we informed the emergency services. So it was a nuance of language. You know, for example, the local school, we know they weren't contacted until I believe it was early August.
Sure.
You know, so that was quite shocking. So clearly,
Absolutely.
very rush through. Yeah, this has actually been in the making for quite some time. It's just this funding channel became available, so they grasped it.
Yeah, and I do know for a fact that one of the ambulance departments was not told about the road closures. I actually found out by contacting them to ask them, and they had no awareness about the road closures right at the beginning when they started blocking off Maidstone, York Road, and yeah, and Warwick Road.
Okay,
Palmerston. Don't forget Palmerston.
I'm just going to interject there. Yeah. Sorry again. I just think it's a good time to bring this up. All of these things we are having to put the jigsaw together because we're not being engaged with by the council, and we are exploring all legal avenues. So, you know, do watch this space, but you know, we have to, you know, make sure we do our homework on this because things can get very expensive.
We are also aware as well that the local businesses weren't consulted prior to the implementation. And I saw, Stephen, you've mentioned NISA. No, they weren't consulted. I'm not sure if one of their representatives is on the call today, but their business has been adversely affected, the same way as quite a few of the shops on the North Circular have also been affected. The chemist is now struggling to deliver medication to residents within the area, because they do so.
Disabled as well. They were not consulted, and the equality survey was not properly done. So there are many flaws in this system and how it's been just railroaded through, and it is increasingly dangerous as the weather turns and the dark nights roll in. And I would just like to stress very quickly, when I went for my cycle to do the last filming, which was at 6:45 last Friday, I cycled all the way around, and it was a beautiful night, lots of sunshine, not too cold. I saw 2 cyclists out, you know, so that people are not getting out there in these times. How it's going to be when the weather really turns will be a real teller as well.
I mean, I think, Roland, that's kind of part of the concern, really, isn't it? That, you know, I mean, what's kind of happened is that there's roads that have been cut off with a view that we'll all kind of, you know, take up cycling, you know, both you and I do, but you know, there's no infrastructure that's been kind of, you know, built for cycling. I mean, you know, as soon as you're out of here, you're just like straight onto kind of, you know, busy streets, and there's been, you know, nothing that's kind of you know, been helpful for cyclists.
I children up Durnsford Road to Muswell Hill on the cycles, and the road is very narrow. There's no proper cycling infrastructure there, so it has to be done on pavements. Otherwise, my better half won't let me do it. So you know, so we end up blocking the pavements with the bikes, which is not ideal.
Yeah. I've also, and somebody's mentioned that London Borough Enfield are actually so concerned about poor ambulance response times that they have actually removed some bollards in some roads. Thank you for sending that in. We have been in touch as well with the local councillor for that area, who's confirmed that as well. And so that's another thing that we are feeding back to.
So I'm just noticing a question there from Kate, who's kind of, you know, is obviously kind of highlighting the fact of traffic on other streets, and you know, this maybe kind of just raises a really fundamental point, you know, that we perhaps kind of haven't addressed here, which is that you know, residents of Warwick Road must have had absolute hell over recent years. The traffic on there was just appalling. And we genuinely feel for those people, and I'm sure that they are, you know, just elated, you know, by what's kind of currently happening. All we can possibly do is to kind of, you know, to maybe kind of highlight what Kate's saying there is that it's been pushed onto other streets. You know, this is this kind of notion of evaporation is really more of a kind of marketing spin than a reality. You know, this is we've got to be aware of that, and you know, and care for kind of, you know, everybody, not just not just kind of, you know, one street, if you like. This is you know, is obviously is now affecting many streets where traffic has been displaced to.
We do need to find out when the traffic counters will be going back down now the scheme is fully operational as well, because as Kate's mentioned, Nightingale, Truro, Clarence are all suffering additional traffic now as well.
Can I come in on that?
Yeah.
About over a month ago, I got a councillor to put in a freedom of information request, because they get answers in 8 days rather than the 30 days or 20 days that we do. I think it's 20 days actually. Asking those very questions of David Taylor in the Transport Department for Enfield, asking when the traffic counter was down on Highworth Road from until, why it was removed, when it's going down again, if it is, from until when, and none of those questions have been addressed. It's been asked twice as a freedom of information request, a rushed one, so I will be chasing again, but they're just not giving us information, and I worry now that there's been manipulation of traffic lights, you know, which is sort of causing problems in different areas to show better results in other areas. And we just want some transparency here. We really need an open dialogue with the council, and I really would press you to push your MPs, push your councillors, and just push the council generally if you can. If we can all do it together, we might get some answers.
Yeah, can I make a point on that? This is a really good point, Roland. Really, we just need to bombard our MP, Bamble Cheryl Ambers, people at the council, Grant Shapps, anyone you can think of. We need to make noise. It is hard work, but I really believe it makes a big difference, as well as all the other things that we're doing behind the scenes. So I really urge you all to just, you know, when you've got a minute, just send an email with your situation, your story, your objections, your feelings. That would go a long way.
So I'm conscious that there's about 4 minutes left in this session. I'm just noticing a couple of points on the chat there from Fazila. I absolutely understand you know, your issues there, and perhaps that might be a very good point, that if you were so willing, that we could maybe you know, do one of the video chats that I was discussing before, because you know, it sounds like you're kind of really going through hell there.
I'd also like Gary to contact us and send us an email as well, if you can, Gary Hearn. Right.
There's a couple of points just kind of come up as well in terms of signage. So why is Warwick Road, so this is an anonymous attendee, why is Warwick Road got these red road closed signs ahead, very confusing. Well, I mean, I think the signage is confusing. I don't know if it's meant to be. I've no real kind of idea about that, but I don't think the signage is clear at all. And you know, it clearly isn't, because, you know, some people are still kind of, you know, driving through there and getting, I think it's a £65 fine. Yeah, I've absolutely no idea why those signs are still there, but it seems like a job half done from my point of view. Any final points, because we're just kind of coming up to the hour?
Okay, I would actually urge people to try and push the council as well to let us know what they will be using to deem this scheme a success or failure, the key performance indicators, because those are still not clear. Because from what I can see, unless those KPIs are increased congestion and pollution around this area, which goes beyond our LTN, then they're not meeting it. And I really want some transparency. It's all about transparency. That's what we need.
So David's kind of just mentioned that a little while ago, exactly what are those KPIs. So we'll once again kind of put those up on the Facebook site. we can do that. I mean, you know, we don't agree with them. We also, you know, kind of think that there should be a, you know, a much wider group that's actually kind of allowed to consult on this, and that's something that we've kind of pushed Nestle Kaliskan on in order to kind of get that, but that hasn't thus far been allowed.
It's completely disingenuous that the surrounding postcodes are not included in the consultation.
They're feeling the brunt of it.
So affected by this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think on that point, I'm going to give both an apology and thanks. So I really apologise for the not answering kind of absolutely every point there. We've hopefully covered most of them, but not all. But we will try kind of very hard to come back on them. And I thank everybody very much for their time. So,
that's great. And if anybody wants to email in questions, I'll make sure we personally answer them. Oh, sorry, be gone.
Wonderful. Okay, so with that, we thank you.
Live still.
Please get involved. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.